It's not about the business you've built, it's about the business you're building. What are you going to build next? To me, that has been just so transformative.
Hi, welcome to the Realtors Conspiracy Podcast. I'm here today with Jeremy Miller from Sticky Branding. Hey, tell us about what you do.
Well, thanks, Mon, for having me. Sticky Branding is a marketing strategy firm. And what we do is, everything has changed after coronavirus, but what we really are doing is helping companies slingshot their businesses to the next level. And so how do you come to the question everyone asks today is, how do we come out of this pandemic and this crisis stronger than ever? And so that's the kind of framing that we do, but it's brand messaging, marketing strategies that work, and building strategies to grow your business.
Nice. So what is Sticky Branding? Like, where do we start?
So sticky branding is really two things. One, it's my business, so it's the company and whatnot. But it's anchored on a philosophy. I truly believe that any company of any size can grow a sticky brand. And what I mean by that is a sticky brand is that brand where somebody chooses you first. And they don't do that because you have the best price or the best product. They do that because they know the brand, they like it, and they trust it. And when your customers know you, like you, and trust you, they will choose you first. And that's that stickiness factor. And it's all based on relationships. How do you create that connection or that bond that gives you that first choice advantage? And when you have that advantage, it's so powerful. You skip all the advertising and inbound marketing because that's when you get your referrals. That's when people call you up directly. That's when they stop negotiating. They know you, they like you, they trust you. They know you can help them. And that's the best brand position you could ever ask for.
Nice. And what would you say is a great branding, like overall? What are the key traits of it?
Well, I think branding is multifactorial. I think the big mistake that branding has as a category or an industry is it's framed by what your profession is. So graphic designers have one perspective of it, marketers have another, product people have another. And so as a result, everything is confused. But for me, branding is strategy. Your brand is really a lagging indicator. It's what people say about you. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, said, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. But
Nice.
branding for me is really, what are you going to build? What is the reputation you're going to create? And to do that, that's design, marketing, choosing where do you play? How do you win? It's also how you serve your clients. So to me, branding isn't marketing. It is the total customer experience it takes to create those positive relationships that people then associate with you.
Yeah, so they say like branding is how you speak, how you behave, how you show up in the room too. It's not just a logo.
Exactly. If you limit it to, let's take that proverbial lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
Well, if the pig still is the pig, then that's not going to help your brand. We've all gone through those experiences where you see someone has just take a restaurant. It's got incredible signage, great location. You go there, you get food poisoning. Are you going to go back?
No.
No. And that's what the brand was flawed because the substance was lacking. So how you serve someone, I think it's really the basics. How do you serve people? How do you do your job? How do you get them the results they expect is truly where branding starts.
Nice. And then what is your process from the start to develop a brand that's successful?
Well, it's multifaceted. So the way sticky branding works is we're really in the realm of strategy consulting. So we are often starting with established businesses that are asking, okay, this is where we are and where we are today. How do we get to, say, the next step? And so in that, what we fundamentally create is what we call a slingshot strategy. And a slingshot strategy is really two key parts. The first is to define that midterm strategy. Where do you play? How do you win? How do you want to be known? And then what infrastructure as a business do you need to create that? And then the second part of it is, what are you doing every quarter? So looking at the next 12 months, what are the steps and activities that you're doing and committing to and getting your whole team to commit to in order to move towards that? And so the core work is really the strategic planning of both brand positioning and execution to help you grow your business.
That's amazing. Cool. Very clear. I like how you speak. It's very clear. What is your opinion of real estate branding? Because here our target is a lot of realtors. So what do you feel is going on in that world?
It's hard, to be really blunt. It's hard. We've got the teams that are running on heavy advertising, and they do a good job in creating awareness, and then funneling leads down to their brokers within that team. But from an individual perspective, we're sitting in an environment, or realtors are sitting in an environment that's highly regulated, which has too many competitors, low barriers to entry, and getting established is harder than ever. And so my view in real estate branding is you've really got to look at the long game. How are you going to build reputation in key neighborhoods or key sectors that people know you? And that isn't going to happen in a like a flashy uh, short-term marketing campaign or a single tactic. It's about being known in a certain space and then leveraging whatever assets that you have, whether that is your team's ability to market, your broker of records brand, or whatever it is. It's about establishing yourself so that people know you, like you, and trust you.
Nice. Very cool. What is your 3 favorite brands in terms of real estate that you've seen, or maybe just one?
Well, one I think that is effective is Sotheby's, and I think when you see a Sotheby's sign in a neighborhood, especially in a middle market neighborhood, it stands out. And the thing that's so fascinating is Sotheby's is basically charging the same as everybody else, so everyone's getting the same, but they have a prestige factor to it.
Yeah.
And that gives them both credibility on the buyer side and on the seller side of things. But it also gives them the power to say no. So they can be dealing, because of their brand position, they can essentially choose their clients a little bit more selectively. So I think they've done a good job amongst the dealerships, basically,
Yeah.
to differentiate itself.
As a brokerages. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
What advice would you give to new realtors starting up? Where to start with their branding and their business?
I think the key thing with anyone starting out in real estate is to really work your network and your community networks. That you've got to establish that your own personal reputation as quickly as possible, and that really means being social. So being active, whether it's in your gym, your community. Like, yeah, you can do the real estate or the flyering and those types of activities that people are doing, but ultimately the biggest challenge that we face today is how do we generate referrals? Because the problem that we have, so I'm based in Mississauga, and when I've been here my whole life. When I grew up in Port Credit, everybody looked the same. Like it was all very homogeneous little neighborhoods. Now every neighborhood is different. So I've got my wife and I are a couple, no kids. Our neighbors are Filipino on one side. We have Pakistani on another. We basically the United Nations across our street, from retirees to young families. And the problem is that our networks don't necessarily crisscross, other than we are in the same geographic location. And so often, if I were to look for a real estate agent, I will probably go to my own network first. I might go to, say, my CrossFit gym and ask the people I'm working out with for a referral versus what are the signs in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So my biggest advice for anyone starting out is really work on building your reputation and network in your community so that people are referring to you versus simply just another brochure on somebody's doorstep.
Nice. Very cool. And I guess, what is a successful realtor to you?
Well, I think there's two parts to that. One is they're making money.
Mhm.
So I think the key to all brands, especially successful brands, is that they are successful businesses. One of
Yeah.
the things I said in my latest book, Brand New Name, is successful businesses create successful brands and never the other way around. Your longevity, your success, your reputation is going to be driven by your ability to make deals. So building your business is one. And I think the other is just really being a good steward. And it's about the service, and it's about how you treat people and how you work with them and how you hustle. That so many people just mail it in.
Yeah.
And to stand out, I think it will really be in the quality of your work.
Nice. Thank you. What would be new strategies you're implementing now with marketing and branding since post-pandemic?
Within real estate or in general?
In general, in marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. So in real estate, I think the funniest thing is the pandemic might have been the greatest thing that's ever happened to real estate. It's just been
It
an
boosts.
astronomical boom, especially north of the city, like in Georgian Bay. July sales had gone up by 75%, and the volume had increased by 100% year over year. So right now it's a turkey in the hurricane type of scenario. Everyone can make money. Outside of real estate, though, the biggest challenge has been, especially in business to business marketing or direct selling style marketing, is that most marketing activities aren't working. So what we're seeing today is all the social media channels are chock full of content, and most middle managers have lost their purchase making autonomy. So business owners and executives are controlling all the budget, which means sales and marketing look a lot more like 2005 than 2020. That we are using tactics today that is more driven on how do you get access to executive decision makers? And part of that is really being provocative in your messaging. So everyone's needs have shifted after COVID. So being very clear on, are you experiencing this challenge? And this is how I might be able to help you, and bringing that message directly to the person who would make a decision versus doing inbound marketing or social media marketing. That's too passive. We need to get right to the people, see if there's a fit. And if there is, go for how you can be of service. And that's actually being very well received. What we have seen since March is executive access has increased by 40% just in direct selling.
Wow. Cool. Do you want to tell us about your books? Like you have two
Sure.
books.
Well, I got two books, as you said. So Sticky Branding was my first book. This actually comes from my origin story that I grew up in a family business in the recruiting sector, and I cut my teeth because I was a sales guy who had lost his competitive advantage. I came into the family business, and that first year was just simply awful. I found myself smiling and dialing cold calling all day long. And I told my parents at the end of that first year, this is what it's like to be in a family business, and I just can't do it. And my dad gave me the best advice I ever got, which was, it's not about the business you've built. It's about the business you're building. What are we going to build next?
Mhm.
And what I discovered in that moment was that we didn't have a sales problem like I originally thought. We had a branding problem. Our customers couldn't distinguish us from anyone else. So I became voracious. I started reading everything I could get my hands on branding and marketing. And what I found was all the books were about big companies like Apple and Nike. But I was a small business. I had a marketing team and a sales team, but it's not a vast one. So when I sold my family's business in 2013, I looked back and thought, what would be the book I wish I had? And that is what this is. So it tells my story, plus it profiles 150 companies from around the world on how do small and mid-sized companies grow sticky brands. So that's available on Amazon or where books are sold. And then in October, my latest book, brand new name, just came out. And this is a graphically designed branding book. It's beautiful. It shows you how to name or rename anything. And so this is a really practical tool if you're doing any kind of branding projects.
Nice. Very cool. Very useful tools.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about your dad's advice. What would be the best advice you've ever had?
I think that would be up there. It's not about the business you've built. It's about the business you're building. What are you going to build next? To me, that has been just so transformative in giving me permission to innovate. But I think the other piece of advice, and it also comes from my father, is nothing relieves pressure like sales.
Nice.
And when you feel just the worst in your business, when everything's going sideways, the best way to solve it is to close a deal.
Awesome. I love it. What would be three things that everyone should be doing in marketing, in sales, in business? What do you say?
Number one, if you don't blow your own horn, nobody will. You've got to take marketing seriously. And in that, I mean, you've got to be taking promotion really seriously. With that, though, you've got to speak clearly. I think clarity is the foundation of every strong brand. I call it simple clarity. What's the ability to describe your business and what makes it unique, simply, succinctly, and in the language of your customers? And then I think the third is really it's a choice that every great brand, every company that I have ever worked with that is someone that is worth admiring that for this, the quality of their business and their brand, they have made a purposeful choice to grow a remarkable brand. And anyone can do that. You don't have to have tons of money or tons of resources. It's just simply about taking pride in your business, taking pride in your customers and doing things well. And when you do that, you're guaranteed to grow just a fantastic, remarkable brand.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks for sharing all of that. That's amazing. I think it's super helpful.
My pleasure. Thank
We
you.
could be talking all day.